You are not as important as you think you are. Not at work, not in most rooms you walk into, not to most of the people around you. That is not an insult. It is one of the most liberating things psychology has ever documented. And most people spend their entire lives not knowing it. Let's talk about the spotlight effect. In 2000, psychologists Thomas Gilovich and Kenneth Savitsky at Cornell University ran a now famous experiment. They asked participants to walk into a room full of people wearing a t-shirt with an embarrassing image on it. Barry Manilow. The participant was asked to estimate how many people in the room noticed the shirt. Then the researchers asked the actual people in the room. The gap was enormous. The person wearing the shirt consistently estimated that around half the room had noticed. The actual number was closer to 20%. The participant felt like they were standing under a spotlight. Nobody else had turned it on. This is the spotlight effect, the consistent, documented tendency to overestimate how much other people are noticing, judging, and remembering you. It applies to your appearance, your performance, your mistakes. The thing you said in a meeting last Tuesday, the email you worded badly, the time you stumbled walking into a room. You remember these things. You replay them. You assume the room does too. It does not. Subscribe if you have ever replayed something embarrassing at 3 a.m. that the other person forgot by 3 p.m. The reason is simple and uncomfortable. You are the most important person in your own experience. By definition, you have access to every thought you have, every mistake you notice, every moment you feel exposed. Other people do not have this feed. They are too busy being the most important person in their own experience. Psychologist Thomas Gilovich, who spent years studying this bias at Cornell, put it simply: we anchor on our own rich phenomenological experience and then fail to adjust sufficiently for the perspective of others. In other words, you feel everything, you feel very intensely, and you forget that nobody else has access to that intensity. They just see you walking into the room. Now, here is where it gets uncomfortable in a different direction, because the spotlight effect has a professional dimension that most people do not want to examine. You probably believe your work matters more than it does, not because you are arrogant, because you are human. The organization you work for almost certainly has contingency plans for your absence that are more robust than you would like to imagine. When people leave companies, even people who seem indispensable, the companies adapt, sometimes badly, sometimes slowly, but they adapt. The research on this is consistent and humbling. Studies on workforce dynamics consistently find that most roles, even highly skilled ones, are absorbed or redistributed within months of departure. The institutional knowledge that feels irreplaceable to you is often more transferable than you assume. The relationships you believe depend on your specific presence tend to continue with your replacement. This is not a personal failing. It is how organizations are designed to function. Redundancy is not a weakness of the system. It is a feature. But here is the thing that makes this useful rather than just deflating. The spotlight effect and professional replaceability are two sides of the same cognitive error. Both involve overestimating your centrality to other people's experience. Both involve assuming that your presence or absence creates a gap that others feel as acutely as you would. The research suggests they do not. And when you genuinely internalize this, not as a defeat but as a fact, something interesting happens. The anxiety attached to being noticed decreases. The fear attached to making a mistake loosens. The paralysis of worrying about your professional legacy relaxes. Because if nobody is watching as closely as you think, and the system will absorb your absence more smoothly than you feared, then the cost of trying things, of failing, of changing direction is significantly lower than your nervous system was telling you. The spotlight was never as bright as it felt. The role was never as singular as it seemed. And the person most burdened by the belief that they were indispensable was always you. Psychologist David Dunning, of the Dunning-Kruger effect, has written extensively about how human beings are systematically poor at accurately assessing their own performance, their own importance, and their own visibility. We are, as Dunning puts it, trapped inside our own perspective in a way that makes accurate self-assessment almost impossible without external data. The external data, when collected, consistently shows the same thing. You matter less than you think to the room, and you matter more than you think to the specific people who have actually chosen to pay attention. The spotlight is not distributed evenly. It is concentrated in relationships. In the moments people choose to notice you, not the ambient monitoring you imagine. Drop a comment. Tell me, what is the thing you have been replaying that the other person has completely forgotten? Like, share, subscribe. The room moved on faster than you think.